Tell you what, while we're waiting on Carl and Carolyn, let's go ahead and stand for a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for a new day here. Final meeting of the month of September. We just turn this meeting now over to you. Ask that you would guide us through each agenda item, that this court would make appropriate decisions on each matter. Lord, we pray for our county, our state, and especially our nation during tough, tumultuous times. We pray for wisdom from leadership. We pray for cooperation and compassion and humility by those that have been in the media here in the last several months. We just pray for healing. Lord, we pray for our military, for our first responders, for their safety and well-being, and for a clear message from this country that we support and appreciate their efforts. We pray specifically for our county, Lord. We thank you for everyone in this county, Lord. We thank you, Lord, that we have not had to deal with the difficulties that so many other communities have, especially when it comes to weather. We pray for our friends in Houston and along the Gulf Coast, for those in Mexico City, Puerto Rico. We just ask, Lord, that you supernaturally provide help that is needed so badly by them. We just turn to you now and just ask, Lord, that you direct us in our lives, that we would think, say, and do according to your will in each and every matter, especially as representatives of this county. We pray it all in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good morning and welcome to our final meeting of the month of September, today being the 25th of September 2017, 9 a.m. And we will begin with item number 1, public comments, requests for information on non-agenda items in accordance with our Open Meetings Act. Anyone like to address the court at this time? We will move on to item number 2. We've got a series of minutes here in items 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'll take these individually, but let me just make a general comments here. The first one where we are approving minutes was from our meeting that we had with our insurance consultants regarding health insurance back on September 2nd. Item number 3 is our first meeting of the month that we had on Friday the 8th rather than the normally scheduled September 11th meeting that would have been on a Monday. Item number 4 was our first of tax rate hearings. And then item number 5 is tax and budget hearings that we had a week ago today. Now let me make a note here that on item number 5, we had just gotten the minutes over the weekend, and you may or may not have had a chance to approve those. That would be a fairly short set of minutes, but nonetheless, I just wanted you to be sure that unless you've seen these hot off the press, that item number 5 you may want to table. So let's go back and take these one at a time. Item number 2. I'd ask for a motion and approval on that item number 2 that was minutes for our insurance workshop. Motion by Commissioner Parker. Second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Moving to item number 3, this would have been our Friday first regular meeting of the month, September 8th.
Make that motion.
Motion's made by Commissioner Fields to approve.
Second.
And second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor of approval of those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 4 is the first of our tax rate hearings that was on a Thursday evening. Motion is made by Commissioner Parker. Second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now, if there's enough of you that have had a chance to look at the minutes on number 5, fine, let's move forward with the motion. If not, and you'd like to table these as you should, let me know.
I'll make a motion, we
Motion to table or to approve?
approve.
Approve?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from 1 week ago today. That was the tax rate and budget hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that takes care of those. Item number 6 is a report from our road engineer. Roger, welcome. Good morning.
All right, we completed work on 4215. I think Jimmy saw it. I don't know if the rest of y'all seen it or not. That's that first leg down to the where it makes a 90-degree bend. And we're currently working on County Road 4240, and we started work last Friday on County Road 4218. All three of these added together is a total of 5 miles. We are improving our rehab procedures. We currently have a 1 mile section of County Road 4240 where we reworked the road basically from the ground up. We scarified the existing surfacing and broke it up into small pieces with a grid shield on the soil compactor and then recompacted the existing road. We're currently making our own coal mix on this 1 mile section of road. We hauled in wrap material, mixed CSS1, emulsified asphalt, to coat the wrap and then get it to bond together. We laid down one section of it Friday. It didn't turn out the best in the world. We're going to have to do a little better on our mixing procedures. We got it a little too oily. We actually added a little talco crude there at the end, and it livened it up a little bit too much. But we went ahead and laid it down. It picked up in a few areas on the roller. We're going to try to pack some of those up today. But it's still there after the weekend, so I think it's going to hold up fine. We'll try to improve our process on the next. That was a half a mile section we did that on. The next half a mile section, we're still going to make our own coal mix and lay it down, and hopefully we'll improve our process a little bit better, get our mixture right, a little more uniform. Hopefully we'll have that 1 mile section completed this week. If we continue to have good weather, but I think we've got rain coming in, or scheduled to come in on us this Wednesday, we should complete the 6/10 of a mile section on 4218 by the end of this week. Kind of depends on the rain. Hopefully we won't get very much and we can get it covered up this week. I've been developing a major work plan. I've got a handout here for everybody. This is kind of what we're looking at. The first 5 items are priority items. The priorities may change depending on the weather, what we work on and what kind of fits the weather and our needs at the time. If we get sections of road that start tearing up somewhere, our priorities will change. But right now, the first 5 on the list are priorities. The first one is County Road 4240. We want to finish it up. We want to finish up on 4218. We still got the level up to put on it. The TxDOT has hauled us some wrap material in and out at the way station. This is where DPS moved their building. Their building was sinking on. And we're going to help them rebuild their pad. So that was my 3rd priority on the list. Hopefully we can get started on that this week. County Road 1065, which is close. That's one of Mike's roads. Mr. Will, I think it's less than a mile section. I think it's like 6/10 of a mile. It's over close to the way station. When we have our equipment over there, we'll have to take the big road to the way station, so we figured we'd go ahead and move on down to 1065 when we're close to it and work on that. We still need to go up and finish County Road 3350. We got it broken up laid back down with grid roller. I think it's a little over a mile section that we got started up there. We didn't complete it. We need to go back and complete it. We hauled wrap on half of it, and we need to finish hauling the wrap in and make our own hole mix up there too. And the rest of these aren't in order. They're just on the list right now. What do you got, Mike?
On County Road 2500, I called the cats that's been cutting through there, and they're down there tearing that big drag line down, and that's what's tearing the road up. I called 2 trucks. Ray is working on that. They do not have anything that they go out either way, but I called them Saturday morning. I just had a sneaky hunch they were doing, whoever was cutting through there and tearing that road up, and they're way over rate. They bring some of them big drag line parts out, and they are huge.
Yeah, I'm sure they're.
And what I'd like for you to do is get with me one day when you got a chance. Let's go see them. I feel real good they will fix everything that's tore up. So let's get a chance, holler at me, and we'll meet with Dale out there. And in the meantime, Ray's going to keep checking it because we kind of know what we're looking for now.
That south end's tearing up pretty bad.
That's the one they're coming out. They caught both of them on there.
Where are they taking it to?
I have no idea. We'll find that out when we talk to Dale. But anyway, I wanted to let you know about that. There's no need to doing anything till they get that drag line out of there.
Now, this doesn't include our routine maintenance, our mowing, pothole repairs, side cutting. All this is just the major items we're working with.
Well, it's 1905. What part of that? I mean,
1905, the first part, the first one listed there, that excavate repair with large limestone base and blade. That's up there in the Sulphur River bottom. We've got 2 spots up there where the mud's come back through all our limestone base that was placed up there. I'm going to go over and fix those before we completely lose it again.
but that's all between 71 and Sulphur River?
That one is, yes. The second one I've got listed on 1905 was south of 71. We started on removing and replacing sections of it in there, just base layers, little small base layers, and we plan on continuing that. There's still a lot of holes out there we need to fix. You can't just pothole. We're going to have to dig them out and fill them back up with some cold mix and roll them in.
Well, I hope you consider the amount of traffic on some of these roads, though. Some of these roads hardly have any traffic. There should be a priority of how we repair roads, where the most traffic is, I think.
I agree. But there's some places out there where we got something real bad. I think we need to fix it too, or it's going to get worse. Just like that place on 1905. I mean, if we don't fix it now, you might as well close the road for the winter, because I don't think you're going to be able to get through it. There's 2 spots, all that limestone base that we put on it up there, the clay is already worked up to the top of it and it's got rust in it. There's only about 2 areas like that. But if we don't rework those, it's just going to get worse. It gets to the point where you need to save what you got.
Of course, that road is not a real road. That's an oil field road. Nobody lives on. Nobody uses that except Red River County people.
Well,
That's not a tight, huh?
Quit working at it? Close it?
Well, I wouldn't have worked on it to start with. But that's me. I don't think you would have either. Did you? Philip didn't work on it all those years. Hinton. I didn't know it was a county road. Actually, I went over and dumped some roofing on it once. I thought that I tore off an old house. Not on the road. I put it off in one of them oil field spots up there. But I didn't know it was a county road. I thought it was just a oil field people up there. That's all I'd ever seen on it working. But
What would happen if you closed it?
and people in Red River County would have to come up to Johntown to hit 271 to come to Mount Pleasant.
It's about a 20-mile detour.
Does that affect our residents?
No.
Nobody lives on that section. Just affects the property owners that have land, basically.
Judge, in 1999, we passed a deal to make that a future farm to market road. It is in Austin, and it's to that effect, 4,000 extension 2348, and that road. These roads are done. That road, we need to talk to our legislators, and we need to talk to TxDOT about when are they looking at making that farm, the whole road through there, all the way. That road is completed, you're gonna see a lot of people from Clarksville start coming here shopping instead of Paris. That was the purpose of that. Because that road's gonna have to be raised through there in several spots.
Oh, yeah.
And
Across the whole distance.
this is something, Roger was there when this all happened, and we got everything done except that. And it's my understanding, if we hadn't had that resolution and done that, then that would not be the future farm to market road. That is one of the future farm to market roads in the state of Texas.
It is?
And it would probably never qualify as a future farm market road if it doesn't have very much traffic at all.
Well, at some point in time, that lake's gonna be built up there, and that is gonna be a major road. But if you don't get it on the list and plan, you don't ever get it done. So it is on the list.
Let's fix it when they build the lake.
Yeah.
Riddle, would you just as soon close that road?
Yes, I'd close, I'd close it, I wouldn't just,
How about you?
We have, I know there's quite a few, you've had people to call you from Red River County
Yes.
wanting it fixed because they're coming to Mount Pleasant to shop and stuff like that.
But some of them working.
Some of them work over here, and they go through there as much. Why couldn't you just do the basic work or keep base in there? It gets
Well,
bad.
that's what I was talking about here. I was just gonna keep it
You're not-
passive.
Okay. I would like to at least keep basic work done if it's nothing but ash or gravel or something like that. I hate to have people not have to go all the way around to get here.
what'd you say, 20 miles?
What's that?
You say it added 20 miles to
Yeah,
come to
what
town?
What the Red River residents have done.
If they come here, they'd have to go to Talco and come back around, it'd be 20 more miles.
I was raised in the woods over there, probably from that Silver River Bridge up to 271, ain't 3 miles. Maybe 4. How far you think it is, Dana? It's probably 3 or 4 miles from the Cut Hand Church for 71 up to 271 to Higginsport is probably 3 or 4 miles. Is all. How do you add 20 to that? Then they're on 271. They come.
That's what they were telling me. I've never.
That's the entire road,
I don't know.
the length of the road. You know, what I do is, what I would do would be try to keep the real worst spots and go from there. It's not that much traffic.
That's what number, with the 6th one on the list, that's what it is. It's just going up there, there's 2 real bad muddy spots.
It's not reworking it, raising the road and putting,
We can't afford, we
okay.
can't afford
No.
to ever pay that road. We can never afford to raise it up.
Well, it's gonna get over up there at least one time a year. Most of the time, Dane, what time is it gonna get over up there?
Time it right floods, it's gonna go.
Every time we get a 5-inch rain, it's probably gonna get over.
Well, that road's not going to be covered if they build a lake?
It'll be underwater.
It'll be underwater. It won't be there.
Yeah, if they build on the Silver River and Wildwood, all that will be underwater.
Let's not worry about that lake. If it's 20 miles, then yeah, I'm a little sympathetic to people that are having to come to work here and have that kind of a detour. If it's 3 or 4 miles, like Commissioner Riddle says, can we do it? Can somebody verify that? I'd be willing to shut the thing.
All right, we can check and see how far it takes to come back.
I thought you were going to get that.
Diana's gonna check.
All right.
How long you think it is?
I try not to go that,
Huh?
I try not to go down that road. Too narrow. I don't like the road either.
Let's convey what you find
Okay.
to Roger. I mean, if it's truly a relatively minor detour, would you be willing to close it? I mean, if we're not going to be willing to close it, then let's don't pursue this.
Well, I'll check it and I'll come back and I'll tell everybody what it.
Who's going to catch heat if it gets closed?
Everybody, the commissioner will. Mhm.
It'd be the court, because if we close it, it'll come back to us.
Okay, well, communicate back what you find
Okay.
to these guys, and let's get a consensus to
Okay.
give some direction to Roger. He's doing what he thinks is best. If you guys have a different idea, we need to tell him. Well, maybe hold off on 1905 for a few days till he gets a chance to look at that. How about that? Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Roger, I was just going to tell you, I received several complaints about 3150 on Highway 67 over there. Especially right there where you come off of 67. There was an older gentleman called me the other day, and he said, I'm scared to death I'm going to get hit because you can't, you got to ease off there if you're going to get.
Yeah, I called the state about that, I talked to Carl Peters, because the worst stuff is right there at the edge of 67, and you really need to close the lane down, the outside lane on 67 to work on it. And I think he's going to do that for us. We'll take care of the rest. But for us to get out there and work right at the edge of that traffic lane, I think the state needs to do that. But that's the worst part of that right there.
Yeah.
That's where the worst potholes are, is right there at the edge of 67.
I was just going to relay that on to you, that I had several complaints for 3150, and I told them to call you, but I don't know whether they did or not.
Yeah, I've had several. Yes.
Anything else?
And you see 3150's on the list too.
Yeah, I did see it on there, but I just going to relay that to you.
On that service road, we're 4,000 T's in, we got those private road signs. Do you know if I went by there Friday and that wasn't up. It's been a week since they said they'd get them up.
I'll have to check on that.
Okay. You'll call Bill and I'll call him too.
All right, thanks, Roger.
Okay, thanks.
All right, moving into item number 7. This is to adopt the 2017 and 18 budget. Carl's going to mention to you at least one for the time being, modification to that has to do with some payroll in the JP's office.
I think everybody's saying this, it's what the JP's salaries, what we normally do is we leave a dollar down in there, whether it's sheriff, department people, or any of those positions in the office, precincts. Positions stay, the pay will stay the same. The new hires may be hired in a lower amount, they can't hire than that. When we put the budget together initially, we put it at the lower rate instead of at the rate that was available. And it stay consistent, we need to put it at that number. Raises the budget by about $6,000. Doesn't necessarily never spend the money because she's hired some people already at a lower price, but it does allow her the flexibility of being able to hire men at the original price.
Well, basically what that does is just keep you from having to come back and amend the budget if you got that in there.
If you already agree with that change, and that's the only change you're going to make, the proposal you're going to make, the motion you're going to make is to approve the proposed budget with this more adjustment. And I got you, I think all I'm saying, right? That's it.
Thank you. All right, we'll come back to that in a second. I'm going to jump down to item number 8. This is to adopt the 2017 tax rate. I'd like to take that one first.
I don't remember the order,
Can't we?
but you got to make sure you're doing it in the exact order.
In the exact order? Okay.
I don't know if that's the order or the other order.
It doesn't matter to me.
I just told her, I told,
I was just going to see if there was any discussion there that might affect another adjustment to that.
but you have to adopt it in a certain order. I told her, just always the same order that we done every year.
Okay, we'll do it right then. All right, let's stick with number 7. Need a motion to accept and adopt the budget. Carl has mentioned that one change there. Welcome, Dennis.
Make a motion, we adopt the budget
Motion is made by Commissioner Fields.
with the change.
I'll second that. All in favor of adoption of the budget, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll back up and try something else. May be here a while. Anybody want to suggest something that they can live with, and maybe I'll go along with you? All right, tell you what, we'll jump forward and we'll take care of some other items and come back to that. I'm going to jump down to item number 9, consider and possibly approve septic system permit fee adjustment. $360 is the suggestion, effective October 1. We tabled this. And Clint Bain is here with us today to share with you some of his opinion on this. He is the one that suggested this. So Clint, if you'll tell these fellows why you think this is an appropriate figure and where it's been and why you think this is something we ought to do.
Well, I found out that we were behind some of the other counties on our permit fees. I'd also learned that we were using a flat permit fee of $200, like for residential, and $400 for the commercial, but we wasn't allowing for the owner's fee that was coming out of it. And for each permit that's issued, we have to send in $10, I believe, to the state for each permit. Well, that's coming out of the county's part rather than coming out of the consumer's part. Also, some counties have gone on the aerobic systems or on the systems that are requiring maintenance contracts that they pay to file those permits with the county. Hopkins County, I know, charges $25 a year to receive, well, basically to receive the permit, the maintenance contract, and then the 3 maintenance reports. We don't do that. There's been confusion about what was commercial and what's not. To me, a rent house, it's commercial in that it's being rented for profit, but it's still just a house. But yet we were charging $400 for a permit on a rent house. I think having a straight across fee, whether it's residential or commercial, is one, it's going to be easier to keep up with. It's going to be less confusion for the installers, but also we're requiring basically each dwelling have its own system where there's not going to be the large, what I would say, commercial type systems being put in anymore. I think we're going ahead and going to $350 plus the $10 for the owner's fee. We're going to have this set for a while. This is going to be something that we're going to have to turn around and raise again next year, hopefully. And again, I just think it's going to save a lot of confusion about what is commercial, what isn't. We've got a flat permit.
So you come down a little on your commercial and you go up 150 on your residential.
Is this what you recommend to do?
Yes, sir.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second by Commissioner Fields and Commissioner Riddle to approve going to one fee, replacing the current two-tiered fee, effective October 1, $360 for any and all septic system permits. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much for clarifying that. Made that easy. Item number 10 is record the auditor's office and court reporter's salaries in the minutes. This is not a vote on whether or not you agree with those salaries. This is, as we do each year, to simply record those fees, or excuse me, those salaries in the minutes.
Those hearings were held, September 3rd.
Orders of the district judges.
That's basically a court order, period.
Yeah, they do that hearing. Just like we have.
Make a motion that we record the
Court reporters' salary, auditor's office salaries. These were determined by and approved by the district judges. I have a motion by Commissioner Fields. Second by Commissioner Riddle. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll record those. Item number 11, consider and possibly approve a bond for Kenneth Schmidt, Reserve Deputy Constable, Precinct 1. So we have already approved Kenneth. We just need to get him a bond, the appropriate bond for that. As we approve all of these bonds, we now need to approve his. Motion's made by Commissioner Parker and second by Commissioner Applewhite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number, item number 12, consider and possibly approve a resolution in support of TxDOT improvements to FM 1735, the College and Chapel Hill roads. This is not a new subject. This is not a new project. This, I'm going to let Commissioner Fields tell you about his conversation and why he felt like it was appropriate for us to bring this up again and give a show of support from the court to TxDOT to see if we could get some quicker progress on this project.
Okay, this is one of the projects back in 2000 that we passed. This one was the Harts Bluff School to put in turning lanes there, and then at the college we had some, I think there was 5 students that had been killed out there, and we bought right away and bought 2 houses, and the state built the road. The other part, that was done with money that we had. The one at Harts Bluff and Chapel Hill, if I remember, we sold bonds on that, and the money's in the bank. We were told around 2012 we would buy that and start the process of making that road wider to go to the college. I think we had a student killed about a couple of years ago, was on a motorcycle on that first curve. As many kids, we got Chapel Hill, we got Mount Pleasant kids that go out there. It's a joint effort between the college and the high school, and also they bring classes or come to the high school out here. But I have talked with the college, and Jimmy and Dana is going out there tomorrow night, and I think Chapel Hill's been took care of. Mount Pleasant, the city of Mount Pleasant is also passing this resolution. And basically all it's asking us to do is to expedite the process. It started in 2012, then it was moved to 2016-17. Now it's been moved to 2021. They are in the process of starting the schematics on it. Those schematics have to be done. Also, the environmental study has to be done. If we can get the land bought and get the schematics, the environmental done, then, in talking to Bill Compton out here at the state, he said it sure would help. And I want Austin to know, I want TxDOT to know that we support this project big time. It's for the safety of our children and and our grandchildren going to college, and also we have a school system that's on that road too. A portion of that, where the Roach family lives out there, we've already bought for $4,000. So that's something that was added on to $4,000 instead of 1735, FM 1735. All this is to encourage TxDOT. Bill felt like if we could get this done, get the schematics done, get the archaeological studies done, have it ready to go to bid. If we can get that done in the next year to 2 years, might be a chance that project would move up. Instead of 21, it would move up maybe 19 or 20. And if that can get done, what happens at the end of the year, there's projects going on and they got money and the project's not ready. They've got this money and they'll go ahead and start this project that he seems to think it will help us maybe get it built a year or 2 earlier than we first expected. It keeps going back and back because it's not ready. We don't have the land, we don't have the archaeological studies done, and they're not going to okay a project till all that's done. In other words, it'll be ready to go to bid. If it's ready to go to bid and this project's not ready, they will take that money and move it to this project because they want those projects going every year. So this is what this is just letting our senator, our representative, our TxDOT, and especially Austin, know that we as a community really support this project. And that's what we're trying to do here. So it's a good resolution. It encourages the state to let them know how we feel about this project. It's a good project. So, Judge, I'll make that motion.
Let me read this,
okay.
And I'll note your motion here. Relatively simple here. Whereas the state of Texas and county of Titus have determined the need to improve FM 1735 to better access the College and Chapel Hill School District, and whereas Titus County has agreed with TxDOT to purchase the right-of-way, we have that money set aside, hopefully it's enough, for the upgrading of 1735 from the intersection of FM 1735 and Highway 49 to east to the Chapel Hill Independent School District. Whereas the original date for construction has been postponed but remains essential, the county requests that TxDOT expedite this project to begin as soon as possible. That's the resolution. Motion's made by Commissioner Fields. Seconds made by Commissioner Parker to approve this resolution. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, get some signatures on there from you. Item number 13, consider and possibly approve the purchase of additional exterior cameras around the courthouse. This issue, we've discussed this in years past. Steve Austin came to me and had some good ideas for possibly expanding our coverage out in the parking lots with all the various activities that we now have going on down here, most of which are sponsored by the city, some are not. We do have some additional capability, but I think we've got some additional challenges as well. So, Paul, would you like to start? And Dennis is here. Dennis is going to give us some additional information since he's built this system. But Paul, welcome and thank you.
Commissioner, appreciate the opportunity to come and explain a few things to you, but the expert is sitting right back there. We now have 12 cameras on this building that we monitor. We have the capability of putting 16 cameras, bring 4 more cameras on that system with a minimal of cost. We don't, and right now, the way our camera system is set up, we get the front steps on each corner or each side, but we don't have any of the parking lot. And I think some of the other people that will tell you they've had cameras up tell you that a lot happens sometimes right outside the courtroom. And it'd be a good opportunity for us to expand it. Other departments, Dennis and certainly Steve. And we do have some capability of adding some cameras without maybe cutting down any trees to do it. That's been one of the holdups all along with the fact that we have these few trees around the courthouse, and it just limits your view of the parking lot.
And so we've never really pressed to have those. But Dennis had some good ideas on how we could maybe do that at a minimal cost, and hopefully we just kind of open discussion about the fact that maybe we could expand that system and do it for a reasonable price. Did you have anything you want to say?
Thank you, Commissioners. Again, my main concern was liability or responsibility of the Commissioners Court. A few months ago, the Commissioners Court took action and made themselves a controlling entity upon request in commemoration of World War I 100th anniversary, in order to make sure that the court and the county is covered. They have access to security cameras to monitor what goes on outside. I did report in my communications to the Commissioners Court through the Commissioners noticed that we had some incidents where people had gained access to some areas of the courthouse during some of the activities that we've had during the nights and weekends. Weren't able to gain access to the interior of the courthouse, but to some of the ante rooms, especially in the basement. They were found out and removed, but again, they had found their way inside. We've had a couple of acts of vandalism, wasn't severe, and they had thankfully used chalk in most of the cases, so it was easily cleaned up. But I just want to make sure that we were covered from outside view of the courthouse properties, hopefully from street to street, but any coverage is better than none.
Paul, with the cameras, couldn't we use the money on security funds?
Sure, that's what it's been paying for it all along. It's going to give you a ballpark figure, but maybe trying to set up, what you're going to have to do is set up cameras that work off Wi-Fi, basically, that you can put on poles out here to cover your parking lot. And it's a little bit different system. I'm not totally familiar with it, but Dennis, the expert, says it can be done and can be done at a pretty reasonable cost. And so hopefully we'll have something in the near future to give you an exact price on what it'd take to put those cameras in there.
So trying to mount to the building and look out because of trees is not going to give us the view truly of the parking lot as opposed to from the outside looking in toward the courthouse.
You're talking about the lamp, right? Yeah, you get a much better picture of your parking lot like that. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you, Paul. Go ahead.
No, what do you call reasonable?
I think for the addition of 4 cameras and the setup for the Wi-Fi, around 7,000.
That's reasonable.
Ballpark, right? I mean, he's not. I kind of pressed him to give me some kind of answer on that, and Dennis had worked that up, and around $7,000 is what it set up to get the full amount of cameras on there.
And I didn't bring this to you today expecting you to make a decision. I didn't think I'd even have dollar figures today. I just wanted to talk about the concept of additional coverage. And Paul moved very quickly and Dennis moved very quickly. So I would encourage you to give some thought to this, but let's at least hear about it so that you can know what we're dealing with, decide whether you even want to have additional coverage, and then of course be thinking about whether this cost is justified. Thank you, Paul. Let's hear what Dennis has to say.
One other thing I was going to tell you is I know he's doing some upgrades over in the jail, and we don't have any figures for you for upgrading some of our cameras, but he's going to be working with me on that as well, of just getting a better quality picture than we currently get with the storage that we have. So.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good
Morning.
I looked at the building, and Paul had asked me to see if it was feasible or even doable. No, you can't connect cameras on the outside the building. There's just too much foliage, too many trees. You would basically have to clear cut everything in order to get and that would just, devastate. It's not really something you want to do. There are 4 SWEPCO-owned poles in the four corners. These are the taller of the poles that are around the parking lot. What you would need to do is work with the city and with AEP. Now, I've worked on other projects with AEP and the city, and they will grant usage of those poles. Normally, SWEPCO doesn't want you attaching anything to their pole, but they will agree. You have to work through the city to get us an outlet on those poles and also grant us easement of placing devices on them, because they are SWEPCO on the four in the corner. The tall ones are owned by SWEPCO. Also, I need some direction from y'all as to exactly what you want to see, how much detail you want to see, how much of that parking lot. Now, with 4 cameras, I kind of just did the basics, because you have to have 4 cameras to get, because there's actually 4 parking lots. So by putting devices on those, and basically what he's talking about, you send the signal wirelessly from that pole. You have to have a 120 volt outlet at the pole, but then you send it wirelessly into an access point that we'd mount on the outside of the courthouse that would in turn turn it into hardwire, send it into the recording device, and you'd be able to record whatever video. Now, I just figured 4, obviously you put more cameras on there, you get better detail. It just depends on how much you want to see, and how detailed you want to see it. The strip of parking out along the edge out there that's outside the courthouse parking, which is really still part of the courthouse parking, you would be able to catch on that, obviously without the detail, since the distance is pretty far away from those poles. So as y'all are considering, just think, how much do you want to see? How detailed do you want to get? And these cameras, I figured we are doing some upgrades at the city with the police department and also with the jail. And so we can put basic cameras or 2 megapixel cameras, which give you about 4 times the resolution you're getting now. We've got some, I think Paul's seen some that are on the south side of the annex that look at that parking lot over there. But then we can go up to an 8 megapixel camera, which is obviously 4 times as good as the 2 megapixel camera. It gives you that much more detail. It's comparable to a 1080 picture, your high definition TV, just watching the standard TV, and then when you go to an HD channel, you can see the difference in the resolution. That's what these are. 1080p is 2 megapixels. So that gives you a comparison as to what kind of picture you're going to see. You would be able to tell with just 4 cameras what type of vehicle. You'd be able to identify people, not just a fuzzy person 100 yards off. You pretty well tell the difference in any of you men standing out there, and then you can get a visible ID with just the 4 cameras. If you're going to try to go to something like license plate recognition, then obviously you've got to position the cameras, number 1, where they can see into the front of the vehicle and see the plate. You can't get a number from the side of the vehicle, even though you might see the corner of it. You pretty much have to be in front of it to get it. But that's what y'all need to consider, just, how detailed you want to get, how much clarity you want, and if you want license plate numbers. There's a pretty good vantage point on this side, because the east side, everybody is kind of funneled in through that drive, so you could put a camera there that would catch everything, all the traffic coming off the street into that drive. The other areas are a little less, because you just pull straight into the parking lot, so into the parking position, and you don't move up down the line. So, anyway.
That one access point would take care of all 4 cameras?
No, actually, I put 2. I put 2 cameras on the most clear is this southwest. There's nothing around that pole at all here in the southwest corner, and put 2 cameras on that. One looking east, one looking back north, cover this south, and then another one on the northeast corner. One looking across the north, and one looking across the east. And then there would be an access point on that pole, looking at one mounted on the side of this building here. And then these 2 would go through one access point into another on this side of the building. Then you have to run hardwire from those access points inside to the actual recording device itself. So that's one. You'd end up with actually 2 pairs of access points. and one on that corner, one on this corner back here.
Where's the computer that's actually doing the recording?
It's down underneath us, down next to where Paul's office used to be. And straight there, it's a janitor's closet.
So we don't need to buy another computer. We've got the computer that's
That
recording.
would support 4 IP cameras. It would be a matter of future expansion or anything, but as is, that will support the 4 cameras without doing any kind of changes.
That maxes out your system though,
Right.
camera-wise.
Do you feel like that's how we ought to max that system out rather than any additional interior cameras? You've mentioned upstairs and juvenile probation.
Well, we talked about juvenile probation, and I haven't really been approached by Jill or by Brian that told me they definitely want one, they already have one. You know, you just got to figure out what the priorities are. So it'd be nice to have one on the 4th floor, at least if there are entry points in, we can going in there. But, you know, the parking lot's important too, so you just kind of got to decide what you want to do with that. I don't know a single one I can pull down right now, but
Well, I'm really confused. Why don't the city supposed to patrol this at night? We bought the speakers for that music, and that music, I'm telling you, we have complaints about that music, and it don't sound good as they play "I Shake Your Booty" or whatever it is, and that kind of crap on that system. Sounds pretty, and I get a lot of complaints, and I don't like it either. I think it's horrible, but to have it, but I didn't like it to start with. And I really didn't like us spending more monies. Last time we put more speakers up there to fix them. I didn't like that, but of course I didn't vote for it. I got outvoted, but anyway. So I don't know where our security, I mean, you can go on and on. ISIS could be right around the corner. We could go on and on spending money for security, but I don't know, where do you stop? There's got to be a line somewhere. $7,000 is a lot of money to get rid of the trees. Unless you get rid of the trees, then we could see it a lot better. I'd rather have the trees.
draw the line anywhere you want to.
Well, it's not our money, so I think we should be more frugal how we spend it.
Always.
Do what?
We should be frugal with that money always.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I don't feel like we are.
That money is in the bank.
Where'd it come from?
It came from the defendants who paid their fines or paid their fine here. They collect a $3 fee from each one of them. And it goes into the security fund. And right now, it's about $75,000. So that's been paid for.
Yeah. Oh, I like it. Yeah. Make government bigger somehow. Enlarge government.
Well, I feel like the security system, this day and time, you need to know if something happens out there, somebody is walking across there and somebody's assaulted or vandalism or something like this. When you show that film, that's all you need. And when you have those cameras up, people have a tendency not to do things. With those cameras not up there, they may do anything. So,
Let me just simply ask this question. Do you want me to have Dennis work up a firm price to do a project like this? Half of this project, none of this project? Just give me some direction. You'll never hear about it, or I'll have it on the next agenda.
I think that they need to look at it and see what, I want the cameras that can show those license plates. That's a better camera and stuff.
Well, again, if it's facing the camera.
Yes, if it's facing the camera. When it's coming in and out here, it will be facing the camera. But I'd like to know the final price, get it done, and I definitely think it would deter people from doing things or vandalism or committing a crime out there, breaking in a car or something like that.
got a lot of traffic and walking traffic and vehicle traffic. It's easy places to open, go, umbrellas and all of that. I think there's a lot of traffic at night, after hours, after hours.
You want him to work up a price? We're not making any decisions today, so I'd ask you to table this. Motion's made by Commissioner Parker, second by Commissioner Fields to table this item, but Dennis, if you would, go ahead and work us up some numbers that we can consider this next time, and we'll see what happens. How about that? Thank you for discussing this with Paul. Paul, thank you for discussing this, and Steve, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Item 14, this is our construction and repair projects. Anything new to report on any of these, Commissioner Riddle?
Yes, sir. We, the first thing, west wall, the annex, they're getting the meters off, SWEPCO and thinks that we'd be better off just moving all that meters and those, there's some meters that aren't even used around and put on the back of the building. And then we could come inside. We cannot get rid of the building, the meter up on the side where the print shop moved in. That meter, we can clean it up though. There's some other stuff there. That'd be the only thing on that west side. And then on the annex. And
on that project, Kenny Hawkins called me Thursday morning and said, I would love to meet with you guys. He kind of felt like we were maybe heading in a direction that was going to be more costly. He said, I'll be glad to meet with you and Commissioner Riddle, and we can stand out there and talk about it. And he said, I have talked to my engineers. I feel like I know the most efficient way to get this done, if you would like to do that before we make any decision.
Who did you talk to?
Kenny Hawkins is one of the executives in charge of this area. He's not one of the ones that's, going to actually do the work.
SWEPCO?
SWEPCO, yeah.
Okay.
And his guys have reported to him, and he kind of got the feeling that we were being critical of SWEPCO, and I said, no, it has nothing to do with being critical of SWEPCO. We just have an objective we're trying to accomplish, and if you've got a better idea as to how we can do that at a cheaper cost, I'd love to hear. So he's offering, he said, give me a call Monday if y'all can come up with a time to look at that.
Yeah, the only complaining that I did, I complained the fact they closed the work order, and then the guy didn't call me back. He finally called me back. He's been in Houston and Florida.
Okay.
So and he was trying, the engineer, and so that was, and I understand completely.
And he heard about the going underground. He said, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That'll cost you a ton of money.
That's what the engineers, he brought some guy out here and he told us the same thing.
Okay. Would you be available this afternoon?
Sure.
If I got, let me talk to Kenny and find out a time when he could maybe
anytime.
come and meet with us.
Anytime.
Okay.
We have a meeting Wednesday.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. The interest water leak, still haven't heard from that lady and R. Jones. He keeps telling me he's going to talk to me, but he doesn't. The entry doors, that guy's got the stuff ordered to change that door so a handicap to get in, and he's waiting on the stuff to come in. I did talk to Mr. Dismuke about the flagpole. The reason we can't find anything, Christie, is he said the city did that. And he says that it's sand and has portholes, 4 posts, and you'd have to take the whole thing out. You couldn't just adjust it, he didn't feel like, without digging out the sand and redoing those portholes. And I didn't ask him the question, but he didn't seem to think there was a lot wrong with the way it is.
Mr. Lane?
He said it was there almost from the beginning. I don't know. Steve would. I don't know. I don't remember it being there. I didn't know it till then. But anyway, no one's ever, until we heard about it.
Any idea who could do the work if we did want to pull that pole out and reset it in the sand?
No. the people that, you know, Jimmy, that did the thing, Right Way, or whatever their name is. They,
Right Jack or something?
Right, yeah. She said that she'd tell me.
She's the one that you're talking to on the water leak at the entrance, right? Or is that a different person?
Right, well,
Same
no, she knew somebody. She was going to bring a guy to do that, give us an estimate, but Jones is working on that. That's the only two people that I've been able to talk to that did it. The guy that, I think you know the guy that did the face, the stucco, that's not the right name now, on the front side of the west side of the annex.
I don't know.
He was here and he was doing everybody's furniture up on the corner, and he said, when I finish this, I'll be back with you. And he looks like to me he's all finished, but he hadn't come back, and I hadn't asked Jones. He's supposed to come back and give us a.
My only contact with that job is Mr. Quillen with Randy Teal Construction. They did that job. I can give you Randy's or Mr. Quillen's number to maybe get back to that stucco guy.
Right. I did talk to him up there. I don't remember his name, but anyway, he gave us the same thing, the same stucco. It's the same guy, and he was here and looked at it. Jones brought him out here. So he's been here and looked at it.
He looked at it. He knows what we need. We're just
Right.
waiting on price.
Right. To tell us what we. And that's it. What else have I got? The
Maintenance
mall
barn.
project, I don't know whether I've told you. I suggest that we get Keith Kreidler, and I already talked to Keith about it, trying to get to take that thing. The only mold there actually is around the shower thing, and just cut the sheetrock out at the bottom of the shower and see if there's any black mold anywhere else, and then put the sheetrock back and paint it. So all it needs to do, but that mold, and Keith said he'd do it. Just let him know. And we're talking about $200 or $300 probably.
That's just to remove the mold. That's not to do any repair back work.
Yeah, put it back. Put the sheetrock back.
Sheetrock back.
Back like it is, to make it, patch it, if there's no black mold underneath, back in there. And some of the people don't think there is. I consensus of opinion is that there's not any black mold in there. It's just that little bit of mold on the outside that got there somehow on that.
And after he repairs that, you still want to stick with the plan of having our own guys do the cleanup
Painting,
and
somebody we can get somebody, I think.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you very much.
You want to go ahead and give information, do that?
Keith, to clean it, check for the mold.
Yes. Sure.
It'll be under $500, $200.
I'll support that. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion's made by Commissioner Applewhite to allow Commissioner Riddle to move forward with a suggested contractor, Mr. Kreidler, to remove the mold and repair that with replaced sheetrock or whatever. Second by Commissioner Parker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. All right, let's try this again. Let's jump back up to our budget and tax rate. Just as a reminder, we began the process back in July. We've had workshops. We've had two particular meetings where we did nothing but invite public comment and commissioner comment on both the tax rate and today about the budget. So, I left that last meeting thinking we were, for the most part, good. I know that Commissioner Riddle has expressed his frustrations with the budget, and while I may or may not agree, I appreciate him giving his thoughts. So I'll ask you all to do the same thing. You have a budget, you have a tax rate. If you're not going to vote on it, what do you need to do to it to get it to where you will vote for it? So I'm going to start on my left side and ask Commissioner Parker for your comments.
as well. But the raise that Roger asked for was generally, I think it's a little excessive because of what we're being able to give the other employees. From the neighborhood of 15% compared to the 2% for everybody else. Like I say, this is nothing against the free thing. I know it's a little more work out there, getting the body out. And also I've been contacted several times about the amount that we're going to give for the road. We did set back to them.
Which was an increase over current budget of $500,000. And you have expressed reservations on that. Do you have a suggestion that if we did this to both of these items, you'd vote for this budget?
So if that is right, let me study that.
About 10 more minutes? Okay.
I mean, go ahead, let the rest of them.
Okay. All right, anything else? Okay, all right. Commissioner Applewhite?
Well, that's pretty well like the same with, with the Phillips place. Like I said, it's nothing against anybody. It's just like it's a big increase. And plus I know Rogers, I didn't know, it brought to my attention that his 2% is going to be substantial. We just started this in April. And, I don't know how much of a 2% his would be. I thought he signed in for $80,000, and in that little of a time, just a big increase. This will be there 2 or 3 months.
Typically, it is my understanding in years past that that much time spent prior to the 1st of October has received a raise. Now, that doesn't mean you can't do whatever you want, but Carl and I did discuss that, and I left that alone at the full 2%, despite the fact that it's been a partial year. So you would, you're voicing the same 2 previous concerns of Commissioner Parker as well as your concern for Roger individually is 2%.
Right.
Okay.
Not meaning nothing against anybody. I'm just saying, it's compared to some of these, it's 400 is like his 1,600. That's kind of a big.
Okay. Is there anything that I could do to this budget that you can quantify for me that would make it where you would vote for it?
Other than that, that's all I can.
Can you give me a dollar amount? I don't know what you're thinking here.
On their salaries?
Well, on all 3 of those, you brought up the raise for Phyllis, the raise for Roger, and the $500,000 additional road bridge money.
So that it's already had, we're just going to put the 300. Once he spent 300,000, we're going to just put 300,000 back in it, make it 500,000.
I don't know what he spent. We won't
Right,
know.
saying.
We won't know that exact figure till the end of the year. Let's assume a worst case, best case, however you want to, whatever you want to call it. But we have budgeted fresh $500,000. Now you'll recall from a previous meeting we said, you know what? If he hasn't spent all of his available monies, we will carry that forward and apply it toward that $500,000 so that there wouldn't be a true new full $500,000. Let's assume he spends every dime of what he's been allocated.
Right.
And that you're looking at a fresh new $500,000, because I can't tell you what that exact final figure is going to be. Now, if you want to say, I want to cap any new money at a certain amount, regardless of what his carryover is, that would be a better way to do it. Everybody understand what I said there?
Absolutely. I understand.
But Judge, the other thing you could do, put the 500,000 in there
Kind of have budget.
with the understanding that it could be as part of the motion that if that would be reduced by any carryover monies that are available, and we determine that's up September 30th.
Well, I believe that's already in place. That's my intention, is I'm not piling a new $500,000 on top of any unspent carryover. Because we agreed and we voted previously that we would only add to that up to $500,000. So that's
We
my,
have
that's
voted
a,
on that. That's what you're voting on now, but you could put that as part of the motion to approve the budget.
and if it comes out to be there's $2 of carryover, then you're giving him $500,000 of new money. So yes, I would say we would restate that to ensure that what we discussed earlier is the way that you want it done. Whatever that carryover figure is, but I'm suggesting that you define, if you're not comfortable with leaving it open-ended there with $500,000 of new money, that you state an absolute high-end cap, and then whether or not you want carryover money to make up part of that new addition to the budget.
In addition, if you want to make a motion to approve the budget with Philip only getting a 2% raise and Ron not getting a raise, that's
This is where you make final tweaks to that budget, but I with just general discussion points, I've got to be able to quantify this down to the dollar. You want a few minutes to think about that?
Yeah.
Commissioner Fields, you've already expressed a willingness to vote on the budget as it stands. Do you have any comments?
Yes, I do. Now, the money, the rate that we went up, you're looking at fire protection. This is something, and I've talked to a lot of people on this, and they want fire protection, I'm telling you right now. We're probably one of the best counties in the state that our people are covered with fire protection.
Nobody's even brought that up as an issue, so.
No, but I want to explain why the rate went up for fire protection. It was part of the reason. Also, the sheriff's department did that, so that's the rate we increased. We're not increasing really anything else.
Well, we're not on the rates yet, we're on the budget, and
Okay.
in order to be efficient, let's talk about what we
Okay.
need to do to get to a vote.
You know, if you come up here this January, February, we have a major ice storm. Where's the money going to come from to take care of that? Because in '92, we had a major ice storm. Everything up north was devastated. Everything south of Interstate 30 was okay.
If that's the definition of an emergency, you would make an emergency budget provision, pull it out of your fund balance. If you're
Okay.
to have, which we do have, right now, and we have fund balance, if they can pull that up, we do.
We have contingency money in the budget, we have fund balance. That's where it'll come from.
Well, we had a major disaster 2 years ago with all the flooding, and we didn't pull any money out and spend any on major problems.
We
Sir?
have FEMA money to cover some.
Yeah, you'll have FEMA money for this, but you got stuff that's got to be fixed. You can't wait. Okay. You know, I don't mind, we as a county, 30 years ago was around 16,000 people. We're right at 34,000 people and we're basically operating with the same that we had then as far as people in the county. The service is gone up tremendously. Okay? I know over 30 years ago, there was around 40 county employees. We didn't have the equipment we have now. Now we have equipment able to do more with less people. But anyway, I do support what we're trying to do. I do want to speak up on Philip's behalf. As a foreman, he made a little more than everybody else, but this is a little bit different. He's in charge when Roger's gone, or he's the one that makes sure everything is carried out. I don't have a problem with what he's being paid according to what he's doing. It's a lot more responsibility and a lot more things to do. It's just don't work 8 hours and go home. It's a lot of responsibility to try to get things ready for the next day. I think you should be paid accordingly. That's really all I can say. I'm okay with it.
Commissioner Riddle.
Well, I wrote down my thoughts on the thing. The county has lost approximately $4 million in tax revenue from the coal mine, Luminant and TXU, whatever you call it, since 2012. This Commissioner's Court has increased the tax rate on the property owners in order to collect the same or more money to make up for the loss of revenue from Luminant. The county has added employees and increased spending since that time. This current budget increased the county fire department's payment to the city of Mount Pleasant by $360,000 per year. This budget includes a reduction in interest on the bonds that were sold to build the loop due to refinancing at a lower interest rate. This reduced our interest by approximately 2 cents per $100 value of property taxes. I cannot vote for this budget. I believe to tax the working people without reducing spending, and which we have not reduced any spending, is just wrong, morally wrong, to try to demand that the people, working people, pay us more money to live a little more lavish. Those are my feelings, and on the feelings with, I get several complaints, and nobody else is going to say it, I don't guess, but we have a problem with the men working crews on the road doing it. They think we've got 2 guys, we're paying 2 people to do one job, Philip and Roger. And that's the general consensus of the working people around the courthouse and around the county. And I can see their complaints a lot, because they're always together, they're here today, and for 14 or 15 men, that's a lot of administration and management, and maybe the people been complaining about it a long time, and I think maybe they're right. I'm starting to be concerned about it, the fact that we have 2 people always doing one job. Like we hired 2 people. When we hired Roger to run the job, and he should hire some management to help him and supervise, but not to spend every minute with him, ride with him and everywhere else. I think that people, and it affects the workers, I can tell you that right now. They're aware of it also. And somebody needs to bring that up. And I certainly don't agree that that kind of increase for Philip is justified. I agree with Dana and Parker on that. That's it.
Thank you. All right.
Judge, I'd like to bring up one thing. Well, a couple of things I'd like to bring up. Loop was voted on by the people of this county. They voted for it. That's the reason the tax increase happened. As far as the money, you go back in the early 80s, each precinct received about over $700,000 back in the early 80s. Okay? In the last part of the 80s, where there were 40 road hands in the county, it was cut down to about 4 to 5, and it was left to each commissioner to do that. I operated the first year with 3 hands, hired a fourth hand, and then I had part-time help. Really organize and to try to get as much done as you can with what you have. Everything went good till we hit, the oil prices started up on us. And that just kind of devastated our budgets. We need more money. You've got to have more money. We got more people in this county. We've more than doubled in 30 years in population in this county. People voted for the loop, and I hadn't talked to a person since the loop has been finished and people are on it. Mobility is the key to the future of this town, of this state, of everything. We're not mobile. We have some of the best road systems in the nation. If we're not mobile, then our productivity goes down, and therefore people make less money, and you have less companies moving here. Everybody knows Texas for their roads and what has been done through the years. From Mount Pleasant and Titus County to grow, mobility is the key to everything, to me. And I think in the next 30 years from now, if we double, we're going to be over 50, 60,000 people. So we're going to continue to grow. You better prepare for the future if you want a future. And I think we have done this. Tax rate is, we're looking at 47 whatever. That's one of the lowest rates in Texas. That's in the bottom 30% of the taxpayers in Texas. Last year, Hopkins County was 62%. Every county around us is up in the upper 50s or in the 50%. There's a few. Red River County tax base is low because there's nothing up there. There's no industry. There's no chance for growth in the future. If we continue to grow, our tax base will grow, and therefore we can continue to do more things. But we need to take care of the things that we have right now. We do have one of the lowest tax rates. Now, I'm not talking about the hospital, the college, the school system. That's all separate. We have no control over those entities. But we do have control over this, and we do have one of the lower tax rates in the state and counties. And I'm very proud of that. But, hey, when these loops are paid off, it will go down. What is the tax rate now for the loop?
12 cents.
12 cents. That will come off 47 cents, and it'll be 30-something cents will be our county tax rate.
Okay. Let's focus on the budget for right now. We can
Okay.
comment on the tax rate. Is there anything else that, I mean, you voted yes for the budget. Is there
Yes.
anything? Okay. I'm going to come back to these commissioners, Parker and Applewhite, and let's see if we can, I think that Commissioner Riddle has expressed he's got issues on multiple levels. I think you're probably going to have a hard time getting an approval vote from him, so you're down to the three of y'all and possibly me to make this thing happen. What can we do? Doesn't sound like we're way off. What can we do? We're talking about three subjects here.
I think that, and I agree with Mike there about Philip. He does deserve more money than, the regular hands. He's going to be the boss. That's what he's elected to do. But I think 3% is, where it ought to be. That's 1% above what everybody else is going to get. And as far as the other money, I think it needs to be considered with what they carry over. I think they ought to get a cap of $250,000 carry over. I mean, on the budget.
Down from 500, and if that 250 has a carryover of 200, there'd be 50 in new money, right? Okay. So cap it at 250 is the max that it could be, and it could be less than that by a little bit or by a substantial amount, depending upon how much money is spent between now and the end of the year. So with those changes, you could vote for that budget. Thank you. Commissioner Applewhite?
Them changes would be be considered, yes, sir. About on the,
Well, I'm asking you for
Oh.
your numbers.
well, it's, you know.
Are you saying that you could vote for Commissioner Parker's changes?
Mhm.
Okay, you had another issue in there with Roger's salary. Are you
Right.
okay with giving him the 2%? Or do you want to talk about that
I
as
just,
well?
you know, we haven't seen somebody talk about, like I said, I don't know when he started, was,
About the 1st of April.
but like I said, it's, you know, it's a big increase with, right, you know, next year, it'll be no problem. This year, you know, it's, you know, I've had a lot of.
You were part of the discussions where
Right.
we set that salary, and you know what some of the comparative dollar figures we were looking at to get somebody in that
Right.
position, and the benefits that we were able to take advantage of. We didn't have any moving costs. We don't have any insurance costs, so there are some other factors in there that make that salary, in my opinion, an even better deal. So I think that the 2% is certainly appropriate despite the short year, but knowing all that, do you need to make a change to his salary percentage increase in order to vote yes on this budget?
Yes.
Yes, you do?
Just like you know, I still think it's a big, you know, not even, you know, like I said, not been here that, but 3 or 4 months, you know, and that you get a big increase, you know, I know, you know, it's hard to.
Commissioner Parker's talked about a 3% for Philip, a 250 cap. If we made those changes, could you vote for that budget, or will this be a holdup for you on Roger's salary? Because we've got to agree on everything here to get a yes vote.
Well, like I said, that's, yeah, I could do it, yeah.
Okay. You understand what they've talked about here, taking $250,000 out of that $500,000 agreed upon increase to the budget. Are you willing to lower it that much to vote yes with these two guys and to reduce Phillips Hoffman's raise to a 3% raise in order to get a yes vote?
There's already got problems with that 3%. I mean, according to what he does, and if you go check around the state, and anybody that's doing what he's doing would definitely be making more money. The other option, lowering it from 500 to 2,000, I think.
250.
We're going to be in that same boat. We're not going to get enough done if we don't spend the money on the roads. I'm going to vote for a budget, but I'd like to say, yeah, I'll vote for this budget. I'd rather see these two things happen here. But we've got to have a budget.
Can you tell us, do you know about, or Roger, do you have any idea about how much of your money you would anticipate being able to spend between now and the year to give us an idea of how much carryover? That figure might help here.
We've got 193,000.
Left, 193 left.
Less than 200,000.
And do you see any massive expenditures in these next 5 days that would make a big dent in that carryover of 193,000? 30,000?
We were looking at overlaying 6 tenths of a mile.
Quantify that.
That'd be
Roger, if we got all our equipment,
Hang on a second.
less than 30,000.
So would it be safe to say that you think you'll carry over 150,000?
Somewhere in that area.
Okay, well, that's more than I expected. Knowing that, what you guys are proposing would only produce $100,000 in new money for the budget. Do you still want to cap him at 250, or would you consider wording it in a different way, knowing that you're going to carry over 150 that's going to go towards this figure. Would you be willing to give him $250,000 of new money regardless of his carryover? Now think about that, because we had talked about a worst-case scenario where he carried over nothing and you were willing to give him $250. Now I'm telling you he's going to carry over about $150, which would produce only a $100,000 impact on our budget. Let's talk about, you know where he's going to end up, about 150 carryover. How much are you willing to give him in new money, regardless of the carryover? If it's still that 250, fine. If you want to tweak that a little, let's see if we can reach a figure.
I could go with 250.
Okay. Dana?
250.
That effectively gives him, instead of the $500,000 that we were talking about, that would have been supplemented, or excuse me, it would have included any carryover. Now we're saying we'll give him $250 fresh money. We think we're going to carry over $150. That puts you at about $400. Could you live with that?
I'll vote for it. I don't exactly agree with it, but I'll vote for it.
Okay. You know, my feelings on this is, and many opinions have been expressed on that $500,000, and we heard what Judge Flanagan had to say about that. I'm trying to do some catch up for our residents based on the last 2 years of rough weather. You know, that's my primary motivation in all of this. I'd like to see $500,000 be available, but in order to make this thing happen, if you all feel like that's something you can live with, roads is your baby, not mine. I will support that. As far as pay raises, I decided to leave these decisions in the hands of my new road engineer. If he feels like these raises are appropriate for his right-hand man, I'm okay with that. I'm certainly okay with his raise of a full 2% to the road engineer. No, 2% for the road engineer is all I'm talking about here. And I still support whatever he's asked for Philip would be my preference. But we're down to, I guess the point of decision here is to get 3 votes. We've agreed on the big ticket item, and that is the additional monies for the road and bridge budget. Now we're talking about a percentage increase for an employee. That was previously about how much? 7? Okay. You got any give? And do you guys have any give?
You have the same pay as the mechanics.
Say that again.
You have the same pay as the mechanics.
With the raise?
Yes.
With the raise that you proposed would put him at the same pay as our 2 mechanics. Does that put it in perspective? I think we're at 2 and 2 now. Want to chew on that a few minutes, come back to this, and cover a couple more items. Why don't we do that? Let's go down to our oral and written reports. This is item number 15.
Yeah, I put out the numbers that are outstanding for the prior years sometimes.
Carl, this $3,496,000, is that our money that we have in our bonds? Says 2004 right-of-way fund, so we're about 4,000 short of 3.5 million.
Right,
Okay.
and it's on the interest, so. Maybe different now.
You know, you always want to look sometime at the positive things. I will say this, that was a great move by the judge, and Carl, I know, worked on this, but it saved us about $1 million in interest on our bonds. When we refinanced them.
It's saving us $100,000 a year.
Yeah, and I mean, over the life of it.
There'll be several million over the life of it.
Several
There's certainly
million.
not that kind of impact right now.
And there's
Yeah, but it
still-
will down the road.
And hopefully, I believe it's, we can prepay, we pay off some of these bonds, so we'll use the money to start construction, and if we have to get any of the money from, lawsuit, we'll use it to pay down those bonds. And 4%, you know, it's, maybe 5 in there, we get the other million eight, maybe 4%.
Good savings.
Okay, I need a motion when you're ready.
I'll make a motion.
Motion is made by Commissioner Riddle for approval,
Second.
second by Commissioner Fields. This is to approve your oral and written reports. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Item number 16, our
One more point to make there, Judge. Cloud the issue before, but, you know, when you look on that cash report, it indicated that, in Fund 19, it was $680,000.
Mhm.
And they got 486 income, which brings it down to 193, which was talked about. But there's also $371,000 left in the railroad bridge. And I don't know how much that's going to be used up in the next 5 days. So you actually may have all that carry over. Now, it's not identified to be used to do the extra road work, but you could identify to do the extra road work. But when you have budget for normal monies and the Fund 20 for the regular routine work, it's all salaries, routine work is done. So it, maybe carrying over Start out saying that.
Where'd you say that money's coming from?
It's not in front of us.
That's good news. That is good news.
But I want to make sure I understand, I was if I give y'all the same money, that covers your salaries, that covers your thing that is all the routine stuff that you do. So you could allocate the leftover money in Fund 20 and move it to 19 to book with your 150 year.
I think we're all okay on what we've talked about thus far, but thank you
It might not be now,
for that information.
but, yeah, there is money there. And I think that's all because of the fact that all the rain, they didn't get to do.
The main reason we always, is you carried that money over, because you may be, a lot of times I would put money back to buy equipment or
That's
do
true.
this
It also
or
has to be there to
that.
buy any kind of equipment.
And,
That's basically about 100,000 each precinct if you were under the old system.
this is one thing I have never liked about what the state does, is if you carry over money, you lose it. Well, me, you're trying to buy something or trying to do something with old money and new money, that money should go over, and
So you could allocate some of that leftover road and bridge money in 20 to a equipment account. But we did buy a lot of equipment this year, so.
I fixed to say, that's what we spent a lot of that on. I'd like to see it used on the roads.
So it fits out of another fund, it's just equipment.
And two, regardless of what we do, I would like to, what we would normally spend, at that point, we can look back and see what's been done from that point back, and if you want to try to compare apples to some degree.
So, yeah, that's true too, so I don't know that you want to put all the money over in 19 anyway, because there is equipment.
We did vote. I'm ready for you. Have dinner with your wife.
Woke you up.
Having dinner with my great grandbaby.
Tonight. Thank you. No, I'm talking about tonight.
All those accounts, took some money out of some of that.
Joan, you did record a vote. You did record a vote on that item, right? Okay. Item 16, we're talking about treasurer's report while you're discussing those other items. A motion's made by Commissioner Parker to approve this treasurer's report. Second by Commissioner Fields. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Get your signatures on that. Carl, do we have budget amendments?
On the 52, was left over from last time, that's what we did, allocating money and we weren't exactly sure how much we were gonna get, he was gonna use it to buy tasers and stuff, I think we got the final numbers there, so
That's just,
I-30 money where we did the,
state
right.
Right. You leave, you find out, tell me on that. Just holler at me after dinner.
53, 54 were their last year's. They were already approved. We just held that one back. The next two I've got is 56 and 57. And this is just line item changes inside road bridge 19 and road bridge 20. No. No new money.
Okay, item 52, 56, 57, no new money, just shuffling money between accounts.
Right, I think everybody's.
Make that
I
motion.
haven't seen one of these here. That was the one just where we're
Oh,
taking
okay.
the I-30 money
Right.
that we got from the sheriff from the use of their vehicles. Okay, so I need a motion for approval of these three. Motion was made by Commissioner Fields to approve these three budget amendments.
Second.
I heard Commissioner Riddle. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let me get your signatures in on that last budget amendment. Item 18, sign pay orders and approve payments. You all uncomfortable about paying these bills? Motion's made by Commissioner Parker. Second. And second by Commissioner Applewhite. For approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Let's take about a 7-minute recess, and we'll gather back up. We've got a couple of more items. That's our budget, our tax rate, closing comments, and then a motion to adjourn. But let's just take a breather here.
We still have executive session.
Oh, that's right, yeah, an executive session. That should be, well, I don't know how brief it'll be. I won't speak for how long it's going to take. How long do you think that'll take? 5 minutes? Okay. All right, we'll recess for about 7 minutes. Okay. If it comes down to a close vote, I will. Okay, it's 5 till 11. We're going to come back into regular session. We just took a brief recess for a restroom break. Okay, just to review what we've got left, we're going to discuss and hopefully vote on the budget and the tax rate. Mr. Rook is here from our attorneys Flowers Davis to discuss a couple of items with us in closed session, and hopefully we'll be done. So let's back up a moment. We're narrowing down the list of items that are keeping us from coming to a consensus. Okay, Philip's not here. Roger, what I'd like for you to do for me and maybe for everybody up here is to kind of tell us what role Philip plays for you and why you feel like this position is justified, why you feel like this raise is justified. You've heard what these guys have said. They're not picking on Philip. You know they all like Philip, but it's a matter of helping them to understand when they're facing folks that say, we're not happy with this. They've got to have some way to be able to defend that position or whatever, or to explain that position. Maybe you can help there, maybe you can't. I don't know.
I always like the salary is to match our responsibility levels, okay? And one thing, when we look at raising the mechanics up to $25 an hour, and that's what we did. We agreed we were going to hire 2 mechanics, or we were going to give Terry a raise up to $25 an hour, and we were going to hire another mechanic at $25 an hour. To me, Philip is more valuable to me than the mechanics are. Philip has a lot of knowledge from past experience that I don't dealing with county revenue. He has knowledge of the inner workings of the county. He knows where we've gotten material from in the past. He knows what's worked in the past. So I'm getting a lot of information out of Philip that I do not have or have access to. So Philip's a good resource. I do have Philip, he's got good computer skills. That's one of the reasons I put him in this position. I don't think I have anybody skills as good as what Philip has. Okay. So yeah, I have Philip making spreadsheets for me and stuff to keep up with the action of our expenses. I mean, like I said, I think the responsibility level and the pay ought to match. And right now, Philip makes the same as a crew leader makes. Okay? And right now, we only have one crew leader, and that's Justin Posey. So I think Philip is due an increase in his salary because he's got an increased responsibility from what he had before. Now, I know he did a lot of work for Mike before. He pretty much ran the day-to-day operations pretty much of precinct 2. Now, he's doing basically the same thing for me. He's doing it for all the employees now, not just for the 3 or 4 employees they have. We have 13 employees we have to keep up. And we got a lot of work going in a lot of different places. And a lot of material to order and a lot of stuff to keep up with. Now, I know it's just hard for one person to keep up with everything that goes on every day. And with Philip being my assistant, I think he should get a little more money. But I think he ought to match what, at least what the county's making. Now, y'all realize that when we went to the unit road system, we went from 4 basic supervisors, which were the county commissioners, down to basically 1. So I am using him to help me out as an assistant, so we have kind of 2 supervisors instead of 1. But I think Philip's got a lot of information that he's shared with me. He's got a lot of knowledge of what they've done to the roads in the past, what worked and what didn't work, so we're not chasing our tails and going around in circles. I'm not making some of the same mistakes I probably wouldn't be making if I didn't have Philip to rely on. So I think Philip is a valuable asset to me. I think he actually is more responsible or has more responsibilities than anybody else in my working unit at this time. And he has certain skills that I need to help me do my job.
Thank you. You don't have a secretary, do you?
No, don't have a secretary.
Does he kind of function as your secretary? That's been my observation.
Yes, to a certain extent. I take all of the points.
He's got mobile skills with his phone. He's got computer skills at his desk. He's got constant cell phone connectivity.
He takes his laptop with him all the time, and that's his personal laptop. It's not the county's laptop.
So I don't know how many of the others that may be the source of contention has that particular skill set. It sounds to me like Philip can do anything from ride heavy equipment to make road building decisions to emails to attachments to email to spreadsheets to Word documents, computer responsibilities. And I was not aware he was not even making what the mechanics are making. That tells me something. I still say I personally believe that you wouldn't be doing this. You're not just doing this because, he's your new friend. If you feel like it's appropriate, I support you. Guys, I don't know if that helps you in being able to defend a vote on this. I can't tell you what to do, but I appreciate you sharing that with me and giving me a better understanding. If there's anybody that would consider a yes vote for this budget at this point, I believe you have one from myself and from Commissioner Fields. And if you have anything that you want to say that would convince me that this is not a justified raise, I'm very willing to listen, and my mind is not totally made up. Sometimes you just have to do the right thing that you believe, and if not everybody agrees with you, I know that that makes it tough. If y'all just don't think this is the right thing to do, then, well, I understand and I appreciate that.
I think all of you know how I feel about Philip. He's a great young man. The technology, the skills that he has is unbelievable. I can give you an example. We had a storm several years back. He's got his computer. He pulls up, and we look at all the highways. We can say, this is down, this is down. At this point, and tell them how to get there. The lines are up when they took that aerial shot, but it's unbelievable what you can get done on that computer. The miles and hours you save by saying how to get to point A to point B. The electric companies, and I call them and tell them exactly how to get to it and where it's at. On their maps, it's unbelievable the time you save by doing this stuff. But he does a lot of things. Also, back in about 15, 20 years ago, I set up the same type system that TxDOT has. Tech 1 to Tech 2, Operator 1, Operator 2, and then your lead man, foreman, stuff like this.
Jimmy, would you be willing to go along with that raise to get this budget passed? Based on what you've heard here and any pressure that I can exert over you that you can blame on me?
I just don't think I can go that much, Judge.
Okay. Dana, would you?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there, we're at like 3% and 7%. Is there somewhere in between that you could live with? We've sure had a big change in our...
What is his salary now?
I will recognize you in just a minute since he beat you to it. What'd you say, Mike?
Go ahead.
43.
Y'all agreed to hire Roger? Mike, you
Speak
told-
up just a little bit. I think you're probably on, but I can't hear you that well.
We hired Roger at a pretty good salary. Mike Fields told me he brought 30 years' experience to this job. And he's saying that there's things he doesn't know. There's a lot of us that came into our job and we didn't know how to do it, and we were trained. You've got a lot of guys out there. I think you need a mechanic myself. I don't think you can fix roads when the equipment's down. So I think it's important that the mechanics are there getting it done. There's only 2 mechanics. Philip can be knowledgeable, and that's great, but there might be other people that are knowledgeable. But if you need a secretary, then let's hire a secretary at a secretary wage and keep Philip doing what he's doing. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out. Y'all can come back and tell me that the judge has set her rate, but let's think about all the stuff that Christy does for this county. I can't even tell you what all Christy does. She comes in at 5 and 6 in the morning and works late, and she deserves $25 an hour or more, in my opinion. And you're going to have a lot of morality that people are going to just be upset when you're claiming that he's your secretary and he's going to make 25, and all these other deputy clerks and secretaries, whatever you want to name them, are making $13 an hour. And a lot of them are very knowledgeable to do what they're doing in their office. And I just think it's an exorbitant amount to jump him up 7% in this budget. And that's how I feel.
Thanks. I think I'm the one that used the word secretary, so don't blame it on Roger.
Whatever you want to classify it, I just feel like.
Well, I just didn't want to blame that on Roger.
Let me say this, I sure don't have a problem in what these ladies do, especially Christie and others. They work very, very hard.
But you're not compensating them.
I don't have the authority to do that.
You can give them a raise.
I can't. Only the district judge can.
Well, for them, but there's a lot of other people.
Well, okay. Okay, I'll accept that. I'm just saying, if it's left up to me, they'd be making a lot more. But I'm just one of those. I know what they do. I know how hard they work. It's not easy.
I didn't pay her to say that.
It's just a hard work. I mean, there's others, but she is a prime example of a hard work person.
Any give at all here? I don't think so. Okay.
Yeah, it's still like 2148.
2148, okay. Thanks.
Well, nobody asked me, but $25 an hour for those mechanics was a heck of a stretch to give them that kind of raise. We compared them with Preferts. I've hired mechanics all my life. They got to furnish their hand tools. They don't have near the benefits, the retirement and stuff at Prefert that they got here, and yet we raised that guy to $25. I thought it was ridiculous to do that. Again, and I agree with Cheryl, you know, secretarial work or computer work, you can hire a lot at $13 an hour. We need an assistant. We need somebody supervising those road hands, not being a secretary. And I think you could draw our secretary for $12 an hour, 10 or 12, if you want a secretary to do that paperwork. That's my opinion. To add to Cheryl, and we didn't ask Cheryl, and she told us, so you didn't ask me, and I told you, so I'm sorry. I apologize if I'm...
Well, I obviously opened up a can of worms with that word. My point was he was doing some secretarial functions in addition to his other functions. I in no way meant to imply that Philip was a secretary, and I don't know what Philip does on a daily, hourly, weekly basis. But I know that there are some secretarial functions involved in that job, and I don't mean to demean the word secretary at all. Okay, well, we're down to a budget, $11 million, and we're going to try to narrow it down to this one particular position. Do you see anything else we can do here to improve this situation? Is there anything that we can do in the future so that there's some hope of compensating this position more to likings of our road engineer? Or if you just absolutely feel like this is appropriate for now and going forward, so be it. Again, you all know a whole lot more about this than I do. I've heard all the comments, and again, I'm still open to a final decision by myself. So it's my understanding, Commissioners 3 and 4, that you feel like a raise right along with everybody else at 2% is appropriate for this position, and that's where you're going to stand.
I said 3.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, 3. I said 3.
Okay. Dana, could you live with that?
And carry over in 250,000.
No, we're not carrying it over. That's agreed upon new money.
You're saying the money that's left this fiscal budget's not going to be carried over?
Yeah. It's going to be carried over, but we're saying that we're going to give $250,000 of new money to the budget, plus whatever is carried over.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we've set that one aside, and I think we're down to just this particular position. Jimmy has said he could live with 3%. I'd like to get a consensus from everybody is what I'd like to get. Could you live with 3%?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like it,
Okay.
but I just know all the things are involved.
I'm going to call for a vote then. The budget, we're down to making a total of 3 adjustments. Minor adjustment in the JP's office, approximately $6,000 to $7,000. Huh? Yeah, I said 6 or 7,000. Not 67. No. No, 6 or 7,000, somewhere in there. Reducing our $500,000 addition to the road and bridge budget down to $250,000, but removing the previous stipulation of considering any carryover to be included in that total rather than all new money. We will now make it a fresh new $250,000, and then one final adjustment to reduce the proposed raise for Philip Hoffman to 3% of his current salary. So I'll call for a motion to accept that budget.
Everything else the same.
Yes, sir.
Make that motion.
Motion's made by Commissioner Fields.
I'll second.
Second is made by Commissioner Parker. All in favor of approving this 2017-18 budget, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any opposition? We haven't.
Nay.
2 here. Motion passes. Guys, thank you. Thank you for your time involved in this budget. Thank you for the difficult changes we had to consider this year. Thank you for comments from everybody in helping us make this decision, which is always difficult. Moving on to item number 8, adoption of the 2017 tax rate. I'll entertain a motion or further discussion.
How much?
Keeping it the same.
47.90 or 9?
$47.90, which is a 35.82 for maintenance and 12.08 for debt service. 47.9, a 4.5% increase over our current year rate of 45.84.
And that increase is dealing with fire protection and sheriff's department.
And lots of other things too.
And other things. Yes, I'm okay.
Just
Make that motion.
Motion's made by Commissioner Fields to approve this proposed tax rate.
Second.
Second is made by Commissioner Parker. All in favor of approval of the 47.90 tax rate, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we've got a 4-to-1 vote there. Once again, thank you very much. Let's have our closing comments here, which I assume will be fairly routine. And after that, prior to adjournment, we're going to go into executive session to discuss relatively short topic with our attorney. No action anticipated out of that, or none that we'll take today. Closing comments, Commissioner Riddle.
No.
Okay, Commissioner Fields, Commissioner Applewhite, Commissioner Parker. Okay, folks, we'll, at 11:18, we're going to go into executive session, and again, I'm thinking less than 15 minutes. And anybody that's out in the hall, I'll come and find you and make sure you come back in for an adjournment.